That's right. Let's talk about it. It's 8 o'clock. Well, we're a little over. We had a few technical issues to work through, but it is 8:05 Eastern Time. Facebook and YouTube Live. How about you tonight? Dialogue with Dozie is on your airways. This is how I'm going to introduce tonight's show. But tonight we're talking about the heritage of the rhythms of heritage, exploring our musical history. Two great friends, Doctors Ronnie and Glenice Glover, and let's introduce them like this.
Service. Well, you've been so good to me. You saved my soul and you set me free.
That's the best way to introduce this couple. Doctors Glover, how are you guys doing?
Oh, we're great. We're doing fine, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm great now. We only got this show on the road. Just great. Just so the audience to know, I'm gonna let them introduce themselves in just a second. I'll just tell you right off the bat, they can go further in the introduction. They're the pastors of the Free Spirit Worship Center. Did I get that right?
You got it.
That's it.
In the Palm Beaches, and they like our church, trying to do some things post-pandemic. They've been virtual. And they've got some live services on set, but they'll talk about that on their own. I just want to introduce a fantastic couple, and let them introduce themselves.
Thank you. Well, I'm Pastor Ronnie Glover, and this is the boss lady.
Not really. I'm Dr. Glenice Davis Glover.
And you kind of already shared with what we do as pastors, and doing virtual ministry and worship. And we do have one live service. We've been doing that for about the last 4 months. Yeah, down in Delray at the Fairfield Marriott, and we've gone Saturdays for live worship. But you want to share something?
We sing, we play guitars and music, as you see in the back. We are musicians, we're instrumentalists, we're singers, we're worshipers, we're preachers, we're pastors, we're business owners. We do it all by God's grace.
See, I wanted them to introduce themselves because I didn't want to mess it up or shorten it, because they are two dynamic individuals, and I think they know that.
Thank you.
I served with both of them, and kind of known Ronnie from a distance, and we did go on a trip once, but we have since, over the last year or so, we've become golf buddies, and it's just been an absolute joy getting to actually know you closer and stuff like that. But we introduced Ms. Glenn. We worked together in worship, as did Ronnie, when we were at the mothership, as we'll call Mount Bethel. I wanted to just use that musical introduction so our audience would know that you guys are more than qualified to talk about our topic tonight. And let me just kind of do this little, don't get mad at me. I think it was actually the first program of the year because of when he retired. Normally we do a thing with the life coach and talk about values and stuff. We did that the second Sunday this year because this Sunday I took it and took the executive producer's privilege to have Dr. C.E. Glover and Bishop Glover to talk about the accomplishments of his fantastic ministry, because that coincided with his last day, and I was blessed to be able to be there for his last Sunday. And it's
historical.
And the way things worked out, it was at the historic sanctuary. So
yes.
Yeah, just kind of. So one of the things I always heard him say, I was in Daytona with him, and I always heard about, man, this is dude at Mount Carmel, man, he can blow. I said, can y'all sing Diamond? Because I was there with Pastor Diamond. They said, man, both of them can blow. And then I got to meet him when I was calling my first church there. He came. Mount Carmel came with probably 100 and some people, and our 4.5 members in the church mouse was sitting there, and they came as if they were sitting in front of a mega church and
Of course.
ministered to us and blessed
Yeah.
us tangibly and with advice and everything. So I got to know him. And but when he invited me to come and serve on the staff here, he would always say, "Man," he said, "you like my singing." He said, "You need to hear my other brother." He said, "He's a singer." And you always hear him say that. I will hear him say that. And I'm not doing any comparison, but I'll just say this to our audience. You got just a taste of what Ronnie Glover can do with his vocals. And it's almost unfair because he's a dynamic singer. But he's got a wife who can sing just as well. She was the lead singer on the praise team. And so what a dynamic team. And she kind of takes a back seat vocally and plays. She's like, and I don't want to be she's like a female version of Bootsy or I don't know, a guitar playing Sheila E. She just,
Well, you've heard of her, right?
her. Yeah, saw her
Yes.
last night.
Okay. All right. There you
I
go.
never knew her play the guitar till last night.
Oh,
So
really?
Really?
I've seen on keyboards, and I've
I've
been
always seen
looking
her
for.
on the guitar. Yeah.
Oh man,
Wow.
just a dynamic talent. So I wanted to introduce to our audience tonight them playing, and so you'll know that they are uniquely qualified. I say uniquely. We're all kind of in the same range, age range, so we can kind of talk about some things about music together. But
Yeah.
I want to start out by talking about the gospel music, how it is the basics for Black music or soul music. What being pastors' sons and daughters, how do you see that? And we know when we start thinking about the stars, most of them got their start in the church. Aretha being chief amongst them. Just tell us a little bit about that. How the Black church has been an incubator for Black music, not only stars but Black music.
Indeed, indeed. Pretty much the origin of gospel music comes from, or jazz, and pretty much all music comes from the church and the blues. There's a blues cut 1-4-5. That's the term in blues. That means you go from the 1, which is your home note or your bass, and then you go to the 4 and then to the 5. And that is the root of music. Okay. It's the root of gospel music, it's the root of the blues. It all originates from that 1-4-5. So the contemporaries have built upon that. I mean, I grew up in the traditional church and in quartet. Okay, my daddy was a quartet singer, and he taught us, with 5 girls and 1 boy, he taught us all quartet. We were childhood proteges. We would sing, we would go to churches all over South Florida, up the East Coast, Carolinas, Georgia, to sing on weekends. We'd be at school during the week, rehearsing almost every night of the week, and then in different churches on the weekends. And Daddy wasn't having no C's and D's in the house. You had to get that music. You had to bring those A's and B's in because that was his heart. And he had the desire to just give something to us that he had, something that would be lasting. And that's the origin of all the music. I mean, you get a lot of variations, but when you get down to the brass tacks and to the basics of the music, you got the 1-4-5, you got the blues, and you got the gospel.
So I'm going to show my musical ignorance, not only not being a singer, but not being musically inclined. When James Brown always says, "Hit me on the 1," is that kind of like what you say in there?
Yeah.
That's it. That 1, that's the home note, that's the bass, that's the root. And he usually uses the chord that is usually played for James Brown is the major 7. Okay, I mean the 9, the 9. You say hit the 1, and everybody goes to the 9. They know exactly what to do. Guitar players. So yep, that's the home note. That's the bass. That's the root. That's the 1. And then from there he'll go to 4, and then he'll go to 5. You go back to the 1. You go back to the root. So it's
So now, Ronnie,
ingrained.
You being primarily a vocalist, were you as technically inclined with music? I know you play some instruments too, but I know you're primarily. Did you have any tech?
Absolutely, absolutely not. Absolutely
Wow,
not.
wow,
I mean, diametrically opposite. Um, Although my father played guitar before we were even born. The story is that he played in juke joints back in the day, and he played an acoustic guitar. And early on, he saw that I had some kind of potential because my grandmother had a banjo, and whenever we would visit her house, I would gravitate to that banjo. And so she showed me a couple of notes. Yeah, it was only like three or four strings on that on that banjo. But uh, so obviously, Dad must have not been on the up and up or pleasing to Mom when it came to music, because when he attempted to teach me guitar, he had to take me out of the house, the side of the house, trying to hide from Mom, and he showed me a couple of little tricks, and she saw that, and I never saw that guitar again.
wow.
So no, I did have some training, some form of training. I was my first year of college. I had a music scholarship in voice,
Wow.
and so I had to learn a few notes, but they were soon forgotten because it was not ingrained in me as a child, as were uh, Dr. Gigi. And I think if you're going to teach children anything, you need to start them off real early, and so it's kind of like walking and talking. And so you're talking about a young fellow, 18, 20 years old in college, trying to pick up, trying to stay in lockstep with people who have scholarships along with me, but they've been in music all their life. You have a background in music. So I didn't really gravitate toward music, but I would always sing. I just love to sing. That was a gift that God gave me. That is a gift that God gave me. And I just, I used it.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, amen. I appreciate your humility, but indeed, it is a gift. You are gifted.
Yes,
Uh,
It was a gift.
yeah.
yes.
So, going back to our roots and historically, I mean, contemporarily, there is nearly a house in our experience, and probably across all cultures, but definitely in our experience, there's hardly a house where music is not an essential part of it.
Mhm.
And going back to our slave ancestors, while they were in the fields, they sang a cappella, they sang, and they sang to a rhythm of the work they were doing.
But
And of course, when Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad came about, they sang "How to Escape" and
Right.
sure.
It's a message in the music. There's a message in the music.
message. Yes, sir.
Literally.
So uh, we've talked about how secular music came out of primarily gospel music, and I don't know if this is fair to ask of you guys because you're pastors, and I'm sure you guys could right now play anything that James or Parliament, any of those guys or up to date guys could sing or play. But how do you feel about the cross section of the secular and the gospel? How do you feel about that? Or do you think there should be? And I know probably there's something you are both being from musical families yet pastoral families. How do you reconcile the two? Or how
Well,
is
contemporary, you mean, contemporary music and contemporary styles of music as it compares to traditional gospel arrangements, quartet arrangements, and all of that. I think the primary goal is to get the message out, the message of, if you're talking about gospel, then the message of Jesus Christ. Uh, some of the songs that we hear now, on Sirius XM, the Christian, the gospel stations, it's they all sound soul, like soul music, R&B, and that's okay. That's okay as long as you're getting the message. And I think what is being done is that people are accepting it now more than what they used to, because you know, as when we were younger, there was a certain kind of thing that we gravitated to, that now our children may gravitate to something else or may like something else, and we don't understand it. But guess what? Mom and dad or grandmama and grandpa didn't understand our gravitation or our new way of making music, but the message should never get lost. So I think that's the way I would reconcile the difference, to bring it all together, is that the message is more important than is just as important rather than the musical arrangement.
And I think, you know, as a pastor, but yet as a person, I couldn't agree with you more. But since we're on that path, let me ask you this. Probably 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we were kind of well, I don't know, where were we in Illinois at the time? Our church, which was a traditional Baptist church, we kind of went out on a limb and allowed our youth choir to do "Stomp" by Kirk Franklin. And I don't know if you would. Kirk Franklin certainly has some of the more anointed music. And I don't know if "Stomp" would necessarily, you would say that's overly anointed, but it gets the message. And of course, the history behind that is he's talking about, you know, he says, all my people say, if anybody know gang culture, gangs in the Black vernacular and Hispanic vernacular are either the folk family or the people family. And all the gangs, the Black Gangster Disciples and the Vice, all those line up under those. And of course, a lot of people who appeared in that video, in the Stomp video, were gang members. And man, that was a real issue back then. That was what, the early 90s or so. And that was a real issue, that being brought into the church. We went out on a limb. You know, back then, Baptist church, you get voted out, you do some things like that. Fortunately, I didn't have to face that kind of thing, but I had a youth choir and Madam Producer was one of the essential parts of it. And so we did that. And it brought young people into the church and it kept them involved. And it was not a message that was not an unholy message. Just elaborate on that, because some of the contemporary music, gospel music, kind of, you know, is debatable. I have a friend that's very conservative. He's a preacher and he's a musician, and he says a lot of the stuff that we do, that we sing, a lot of the stuff that's out there is not theologically sound. And just kind of talk to us about that. Uh-oh.
Please unmute. Unmute for us.
You guys are muted. Can y'all unmute? Pastor Ronnie, could y'all unmute? You must have hit the mute button. We can't hear you. Are you getting audio, Troy?
No, Pastor Glenice, Pastor Ronnie, if you will, just go out of the studio and come back in, so maybe we can get your audio then, okay?
Okay, so we didn't intend for this to be just about church music and that, but we're laying a foundation because we all agree that the gospel music in our vernacular and the history of Black folk all kind of emanated from theological frameworks. And so we just kind of got to the side talking about the contemporary against the quote unquote traditional gospel. This is not about, this is about music in general. But I just laid that framework because we're going to talk about different genres of music. And let's see, how close are we to a break? Let's okay, we have them back. Y'all want to relate? We got about 4 minutes before we go to break. Do you all want to elaborate on particularly that song and some of the contemporary gospel music that a lot of, we can say, quote unquote, old heads would have an issue with? This kind of
I think Kirk Franklin himself and his music is very, very controversial in the traditional church. I even saw a video recently where he was on stage. And I understand that he is an entertainer, okay, as are some of the other. Ty Tribbett is an entertainer as well. And there's a difference between entertaining and actual worshiping. So, but he was literally, this is Kirk Franklin, and his music is controversial in some instances, in some arenas. But the things that he does on stage, that he's actually twerking with a girl on stage. Now, if you're doing that in the name of gospel, there is something wrong with that. You have to be very careful that the message doesn't get lost, even in your actions, because everything that we're doing has to represent God in this music industry. It's not just about, once you get to a certain level and then the rules change or you lax your morals. You can't do that. We're always under scrutiny as gospel musicians, as gospel singers, as preachers of the gospel, because the gospel is the good news, and it requires a lifestyle as well as just singing. You can get up there singing, you can move. There's nothing wrong with movement, but you've got to move in a manner that coincides with the message. So I don't know. I think twice when it comes to Ronnie's probably very much more liberal than I am in the contemporary, because I don't I don't think it's right for the music not to coincide with the message.
I
And there's just
heard about that, and that may have been on. He just had all these artists do farewell tours, and they on another farewell tour in 2 more years or whatever. But may have been on that, and I saw a lot of that, and we saw a lot of James Brown and Michael Jackson music. I mean, dance. But when it got down to it, a lot of music was the anointed stuff that he does. Ronnie, what do you think about Stomp? Was that too controversial? Unholy to bring to the church setting? What do you think about that as a whole, as an example?
Well, that song "Stomp" was I think it was geared toward introducing the gospel to the younger generation.
yeah.
And I didn't see anything controversial about it, because again, I may be a little more liberal and more willing to accept some things, but I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything wrong with that at all. I mean, everybody was stomping, and I don't remember all the lyrics right off the bat, but because it's been so long. But yeah, every church you went to that had a choir, they were stomping.
Okay.
And it was upbeat. So
I
and a lot, some pastors, some members, the older generation, did not like it, but
it did draw the younger people.
and
I think that was very good. It was a way to cross over to get the next generation involved in church and in ministry. And I think that was an excellent move. And the message was innocent. Stomp, that's innocent.
And they were stomping. They weren't.
Yeah, they weren't twerking.
No twerking. Yeah. We're gonna transition after this break. We got a nice buffer for transitioning, and we're going to talk about more genres of Black music right after this break. GoGigaWorld.com. All of your virtual needs, a one-stop shop. They do web building also. Latoya, and Makia, that team of Go Giga will put you on the forefront. Whatever your virtual, your web needs are, web design, they got you covered. They got you. Give them a hit. GoGigaWorld.com. They'll make you look good. You make this guy look good, you make anybody look good. GoGigaWorld.com. So tonight's Black History Spotlight. It's so hard not to be doing a dang dog tonight. It's so hard not to be doing Are You Serious? Because all of the craziness that's coming out of wherever the orange ruler is traveling, or that guy, Governor DeSanctimonious, this Governor Despicable is. But I'm gonna lay off that because the cause is bigger. Tonight we're gonna do another Black History Spotlight, and we were going to do male, female, and if you notice, all of our spotlights are contemporary people all through our school until Despicable stopped us from teaching Black history in the schools. We learned about Benjamin Banneker, Frederick Douglass, and all of them, but we got heroes right amongst us. And tonight I want to spotlight one of them. His name is Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick essentially gave up a very lucrative football career in the heart of his heyday, in the heart of his talents, in the heart of his prime, to make a statement. The statement has resonated, but he's paid the price. When Kurt Flood protested against the labor laws of baseball that didn't allow you to be a free agent, he also was banned and blackballed from Major League Baseball. He died rather tragically down in South America because he left the country out of his bitterness and disdain for a capitalistic, crooked system. Colin Kaepernick, whatever millions that he could have got were greatly reduced because nobody would sign him, simply because instead of standing for the national anthem, he took a knee. He took a knee and he raised his fist. And taking a knee and raising his fist was not anything to hurt the anthem, but it was to make a statement. I'm not standing for a song which represents this nation, which allows police officers to come into our community and innocently kill our boys primarily. And it was a message that everybody should have joined in. You've been watching all of the controversy with Cat Williams and the blackballing allegedly of Monique from Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry and all of these folks. When the NFL blackballed Colin Kaepernick, all of these billionaires should have come together and assured that he had a salary that would have been commensurate of what he would have earned. It wouldn't have cost them much, but it would have made a statement to America that we got each other's back. But tonight the spotlight's on Colin Kaepernick. He was an option quarterback, which meant that he ran and threw the ball. He managed the team, which gave him an extra dimension to the quarterback's role during that day. Now it's becoming more mainstream, but it was revolutionary. So revolutionary that it guided his team to the Super Bowl, where only a fourth down controversial play kept them from winning. One Harbaugh brother against the other Harbaugh brother, the coaches. He was an excellent quarterback, and his actions caused his career to go down, and nobody signed him. They had a fake day where they were giving him a workout, and then there was they couldn't come together on where and how and the guidelines for the workout, so he never got a real opportunity. But Colin Kaepernick is a hero in our community. Police departments have made reforms. Departments have started prosecuting officers, whereas in other times they were getting away with it and it was being covered under the blue shield, all because he stood up or he knelt and raised his fist. Tonight we salute you, brother, Colin Kaepernick. You may not be the millionaire that you may want to be, but you don't know how many young men you may have saved. You don't know what the true America feels of you as our hero. I boycotted the National Football League the first year that he was banned, basically unofficially banned from from the league. And I didn't see an NFL game until I was told that a kid that I had in church and coached for 4 years, Ryan Shazier, was injured. I only turned the game on and I watched the rest of that season, which that was in December. But I did a personal boycott, and you don't know how that hurt because I'm a sports fan. But I thought tonight, coming out of the Super Bowl where his former team played, it was apropos to salute Colin Kaepernick. And somebody had a meme, I wish I could find it, where he's standing there kind of like Whoopi Goldberg did in Roots, not Roots, The Color Purple, and said, "You ain't gonna never prosper until you learn to treat people right." They had him doing that in the San Francisco 49ers uniform last night when the Niners were on their way to their disappointing defeat. I thought that was so funny. Hey, we're back at you. We're gotta have a little forward to say. We're gonna do a little bumper. We want you to know the diversity of this dynamic couple as we segment over and to talk about Black music in general.
I met a girl I thought was right, and at one chance I thought it could be me. I took a chance and then I cheated, but once upon a time was right. I'd share my love with her tonight, but I was wrong. She stole my heart and left me lying here, broken in parts. And little bitty voice, you got me crying, girl. I miss you, baby, girl.
You remember that song?
I heard it. You don't remember that.
Just so y'all know, I'm gonna help Ronnie out on this. He prophetically was talking about you, dude. He saw that down the wing. He was talking about you. He saw you down a tunnel of time. That's who he was saying about.
Yeah.
That's a young and raw Ronnie Glover. Just so you know.
Oh yeah, that was young. That was way back in the day.
You'll know this
I was
couple.
just listening to my voice. I sounded like an alto almost. Not a tenor.
You say, man. You say. So let me ask you this. You guys did it in the reverse, and I'm sure your calling came after you had started singing secular. What's your feelings about, and I got to get this thing out of the church and talk about music in general, but how do you guys feel about gifted artists who take their talents out of the church and go out to make the money, and some never return?
That's a good question. Whether they ever returned to the church or whether they never left the Lord. That's the question. To leave the church in pursuit of worldly things and money, I really don't believe that is pleasing to God. But I don't think that should be restricted. Our talents should be restricted. There are different genres of music. You can be a Christian and sing country. You can be a Christian and sing the blues. You can be a Christian and, play jazz. And if that's going to support your family, support your life, that's your skill, that's your, might say, gifting, then of course, by all means, go pursue it. But I don't think we should ever get in a position where we lose contact with our roots or with our upbringing, and that is with our relationship with Jesus Christ. Now, you don't have to be in the church. You don't have to be in the church every Sunday morning, and to be a Christian. I mean, the truth about it, many people are in church every Sunday. A lot of Sundays not really supporting the ministry anyway. But you may have people who are like professional football players. They pursue their crafts. They can't be in church every Sunday morning, but many of them support their families and support churches.
So I had it in the reverse. Patti LaBelle she sang it. I don't know if you all saw Motown Returns to the Apollo. That was around 84, 85. And she sang, oh my gosh, she sang,
I don't
what was
remember.
you don't remember that? Oh, what did she sing? Never Walk Alone. And New
Okay.
Jersey Mass Choir was behind her. And I think Dinah Ross was supposed to sing, and Patty is her typical style. She just took it. And
It took over.
it turned to church in there.
Anything.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, about it, I used to listen to that. I would put that VCS tape in on Sunday mornings out when I was in seminary, heading out the door. That was my get ready for church music. And I think she kind of came back with a gospel album, but it was, I don't know how that came out. But Al Green, on the other hand, who was called after he had the music pursuit, after he had the musical career, started preaching and singing, and then he would incorporate. He would sing his hits, and I'm saying, "Oh man, I can't. I got nobody that. How can you mend his broken heart? I got to have somebody. Al, you can't leave that now. I know you got to put something." At the end of the song and concerts, he put a little line in there for the Lord. So, but let's talk about secular music. Who are some of your favorite musicians of our era?
Who you like?
Today?
Well, of our era is what, the 70s,
Like this,
80s?
Donny Hathaway,
Wow.
Frankie Beverly, Luther Vandross.
Luther.
Yeah.
Ms. Glenn, how about you?
I concur with all of those. I like Babyface.
I'm gonna be offended now, since we're all in the same age and nobody don't call Teddy.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. So back then we had, and this was probably just at the hip hop was just about to pop on the scene. And when hip hop came, I know that was this thing that we had this conversation that there's no real art. We're losing the giftedness. There's no artistry. How do you feel about that? I mean, because rappers were not traditional singers. Hip hop, you didn't have to have good vocals, and it was kind of like a feeling amongst the elders that, hey man, how do you take a Eddie Levert talent and you put it in a hip hop? I mean, you play a line of it in a hip hop song and you sell it and make money. What's y'all feeling about that? You take what they call it, a hook or whatever.
I'm trying to think of the word for it now, but
I think music kind of ended in our era because when we got to the hip hop and the rap, see, a lot of it was not saying anything. You know, they were using this one little line, and then it's like, what's going to happen when you get 50? That line is no longer going to even be relevant. The people aren't going to have anything to go back to. Like we had the Luther Vandrosses. We still live on Luther Vandross and his lyrics. See, lyrics say everything.
Yeah.
They say a lot. It's not just about the bump, jump, yop. You got to have a message to the music. There should be a message to the music, because one of these days you're gonna be too old to jump. You're gonna be too old to do all of that stuff. And then what? Then where's the music? You're gonna go back to the 70s. You're gonna go back to the 80s. You're gonna go back to the time when music was real music, when there were lyrics that came from the heart. So I don't really particularly like it, where you just take one hook and then everything else is jabber. I don't care for it. But you know what? I never look down on another person's talent and their gifting, because that's what they were given, and it's for that time, it's for their era, it's for their, for a certain audience. I may not be that audience, but I'm not going to talk down on them. I'm not going to look down on them. That's their thing, but for me, it's going to have a message, I think. And back to the question that you were asking and Ronnie was responding to, about musicians leaving the church to do their craft. Personally, again, I can't, if Holy Spirit lives in them and they are led by Holy Spirit, then I can't say anything about what they do. But me personally, I can't do it. That's
So,
just
so you're not totally averse to hip hop, but you're not. So if we popped up with a little clap your hands, everybody, if you got what it takes, because I'm Curtis Blow, and I want you to know that. So that's not that's
Knees
not.
are braced.
It doesn't have enough of a message to move you, basically.
well, clapping your hands is fine. You know, I don't. That's fine. You know, but all this other stuff, it just becomes gibberish, and then it's like, okay, well, where's the message in it? That one was fine. That clap your hands, I don't have a problem with that. I can do that. That again, the message is it's not a derogatory. It's not negative. It's not senseless. So we can do that.
Have our young people lost? In these, unless you got Sirius XM or very few a genre of music that's fading, and I think that we need to preserve. When we moved to South Florida, one of the baddest smooth jazz stations was down here.
Yes.
And
Love 94.
was it Love 94? And who was the guy on? And see, I'm a big radio guy, so I was big on all of the tops and everything. What is that something that our next generation is not going to smooth jazz or jazz as a whole will not have to does not have the appreciation for you think
Well,
when we move off the scene, is that going to be a genre of music that's just going to kind of fade away?
I don't think it's going to fade away because there are
It's
people,
on now.
younger people who are, that's their craft. They are playing jazz. They're taking college. They're majoring in music.
There's a station now on Sirius XM that plays that music, plays the Love 94 music.
Yeah, you got it on Sirius XM, but I mean, you can't just go to your local free FM station like we had.
No.
Do that.
Okay, I see.
How
What you're
about
saying.
blues?
I thought you were talking about individually, but no, I don't think the craft is going to be lost. It may seem to be dormant, but it really isn't because there are areas, there are places where that type of music is thriving. It may not be as popular
Right.
to the masses because of
The mainstream
the mainstream, the rap, the bebop, the hip hop. But you know what? We're talking about soul music and R&B. And you mentioned earlier you don't know a house that does not have music. Well, now there's a lot of houses that don't really appreciate.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, don't appreciate music. But
Really?
when our kids were younger, we would play the soul music.
Yeah.
When they were here, we played gospel and soul music.
Yeah.
And then they started listening to they had their own kind of music they wanted to listen to, right? But they went back.
They always had a core of 105.1.
They went back to the
Color
soul
Five,
school. Old, that's what they call it,
That's what they
old school.
call it old school.
Old school.
Yeah, old school.
Yeah, they love it.
Sing it verbatim.
Yep, they know these songs. They know them better than I do.
That's awesome. Because I just wanted to say, carry on to the next. How do you think this generation has an appreciation for blues, for the genre of blues?
Our boys do, but I don't know that everyone does. I don't know that everyone. See, a lot of it is exposure, Pastor. Some kids aren't exposed to, because we were musicians. We exposed ours to all kinds of music, but not everyone does that. Not everyone that does that. Some people are just whatever's on the radio now. They don't go back to history and go back to where it all came from. A lot of people don't know.
Right.
They don't know. And if you don't have the exposure, then you're not going to know. So it may not die, but it won't be as prevalent as it was when we were coming up.
It isn't as prevalent right now.
Okay. So
have you ever heard of Porter? What's his name? What's my brother's name?
Gregory Porter.
You ever heard Gregory Porter?
No, I haven't. Was he blues?
Man, you need to put him on your list. Gregory Porter.
Very good.
He sings jazz.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, brother. He's international. You don't
Oh,
hear
wow.
him. You don't hear him in the mainstream. You have to go on
You have
YouTube
to
and what
find
have
them.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to
On
find him.
YouTube.
But awesome, awesome. So jazz is still alive,
It
and
is.
I
That
believe
is,
R&B is as well.
so yeah, that would be so unfortunate if that genre was lost. Now, blues, I never was a blues fan, but I know it was big during our lifetime, during our our prime of our growing up period. And I just wonder if the current generation, and we got to come back somewhere
I think it
further.
expanded. I think it expanded because you were talking about the
145.
145, the
Yeah.
blues moves. Well, now they're doing the 154 or the 4-3, whatever. They're still incorporating those notes, but they are moving them around and coming up with a whole different sound. Our gospel music, I'd say, was before our time. Used by You, if you listen to it, it's just a soulful song. It doesn't sound like a gospel song.
How about country music? Why has it not been traditionally something that was played in the black household? Why
In
do you
some,
think?
in some black households, because it was played in
I
our.
was
We
gonna
were
say, if you're
young.
from the country and you play, they play
Okay,
it in the
wow.
house.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
It's
It's
exposure again. It's
exposure. You're right.
So y'all
My
remember the days when you used to get when you joined Columbia Record Club
Mm-hmm.
and they would ask you primarily what your genre, and that's what they would
You
market
see all of
towards.
the CDs. Yeah.
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 And if you didn't order one, they're gonna see you one.
They're gonna send you one
Yeah.
anyway, right?
Hey, I got one of Waylon Jennings. Waylon Jennings, come on. I mean, be, be, be for real. So last year was 50 years of hip hop, and I was all about the celebration because I think there was and I guess it's just that deep seated protest person inside of me, and a lot of that was born out of protest. The lyrics were
Right.
born out of protest and so forth. Um, what can marry the stuff when we had for our generation, they had the great appreciation for the vocals, and we call up the Babyface and the Luther and all of those and the Patties. What can we do to this with this generation? Does it mean they got to incorporate hip hop into what can get us back to we're enjoying the vocal again?
Well, the first thing is talent, because a lot of these guys and girls that are doing stuff now, they don't really have talent. We just gotta get some vocalists that can sing. Recording is tricky. Recording will make you think that that person can sing, but the true test is when you hear them live. Can they really do what all of that stuff they did on the recording? A lot of them cannot. So we got to discover true talent again,
And nurture it.
and nurture the talent. I mean, if they can sing fully clothed, let them sing fully clothed. Because now that's what's selling. It's not really the talent that's selling. It's the nakedness and all of these other craziness. So I think we had to get back to what we talent back. We got to get the talent back.
Do you think
And
there's a void of talent?
hmm?
Do you think there's a void of talent in 2024?
No, I
Talent?
don't think there's a border talent. I think that they don't get discovered because some of them aren't willing to do all that they're pushing. They're not really pushing talent now.
Okay.
Money is
Okay.
in how naked can you be, or how much exposure can your skin, how much skin can you expose? That's what they're looking for now. They're not looking for talent. I mean, guitar players, I take just an example. I take a guitar class with a real good quartet guitar player. And he tells us, he says, some of you can outplay any guitars out there, but you may never get discovered because you are not willing to do what they're looking for you to do. It isn't even about the talent anymore. You can just hold the guitar and you get up there in a bathing suit and you got a gig. But if they're looking over raw good talent and and pushing something that's going to
It's a
make them
business.
money.
Yes.
And what making them money is skin exposed. That's just where the industry has come to.
Would you say that her is talented?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Lord.
Yes.
I mean, with
Oh,
that guitar.
yes. She, do you hear the nationwide commercials? Nationwide is on
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So
Oh,
she does those too.
I mean, I love her for her vocals, and I
Yes.
just, you know,
Okay.
and I guess I should know she's playing that guitar, but
Yeah.
yeah,
She's
yeah.
singing and playing at the same time. She is talented and she's beautiful and she's a package, you know. And then even in the Super Bowl, she was not exposing everything. You know, she's talented. Somebody got the talent. So that's what we need to go for. We need to go for talented people. We're here, we're out here, but you know, you got to accept the package. You can't remake the package.
Our good friend, Pastor Anthony Burrell, he says, "This is Cap and his lovely bride," and I second the
All
most.
right, Reverend. All right.
Man, this hour has just gone too fast. We have got to come back and talk
Already?
about music.
Okay.
This is all of this is about Black History Month, and we just want to just say to our audience, people who's going to look at it later, music is just, there's something on the inside of us, and I think when I was installed at my pastorate in Illinois, my pastor say, you know, don't hold it against me if I move a little bit to the left or if I sway a little to the right. He's very rhythmatic. He said because it's just down in.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Soul.
Yeah.
It
That's
goes
what
all
our
the way
soul
back
means.
to my roots in Swaziland.
Yeah.
I'm going to go further. I'm going to say that music is such a universal language, and I know it's Black
Of
History Month,
course.
but
Indeed.
it's everybody. You catch people who dancing. I'm probably that guy who dances on the 2, 3, 4. I ain't on the ones or whatever.
Nah,
But
you got the soul.
it's just on the inside that music was a gift of God.
Yes.
First of all, exactly to bless Him and to praise Him. But
Mhm.
I think Teddy kind of brought a lot of us together, right?
Oh,
Luther kind
yeah.
of brought us
Oh,
together.
yeah.
So I think God use guys. Anything else? I'm really gonna ask you all back later on, maybe around. We just had the Grammys, but we got to come back to talk music again because
Oh, surely.
Very good. Very good. Be glad to.
Indeed.
anything you like to say, hanging and leaving us here. We got to get out of here.
It's been a blast.
Yes. Thanks for having us.
Old school language, right? It's been a blast.
Yeah, man. That's
We
what
really
it.
enjoyed it, man. Thank you so much for the invite.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for so graciously joining us. There used to be a radio commercial in Jacksonville where I grew up that said gospel, blues, or jazz. If it's on music, you can catch it in any of Paul Kaiser's 4 record bars. And that's what it was. We were diverse. We could do it all. And those are the old days when you went down and got that LP, or if you couldn't get the LP, you got that tight single. Backside of that music would just introduce a slow or something that you may not know of. Like the Isley Brothers, remember that 3+3? You got 3 hot songs, 3 fast songs on one side, three as we call them backbreakers on the other side. Those were the days. But I'm embracing the young people and trying to bring them in. I'm appreciate what I'm hearing you all say about, you know, how we got to rediscover this talent and how we got to keep tomorrows. I think that's where we as a generation of not only Christian or church people, but just people who push morals, that we keep the main thing main.
That's
And
it.
music should be it, not the flesh or how dirty we can be. So,
Yes.
Hey, family, I'm putting up my church finger real quick. Dr. Glenice, can you please tell us about your amazing event that's coming up?
There you go.
Sure. Thanks for that. On March 16th, we have a nonprofit organization. It's called Buy Wine, and that's an acronym for Because I'm Worth It. We mentor girls ages 8 years and above who struggle with low self-esteem here in Palm Beach County. We're having a fundraiser on March 16th at 6 p.m. here in Royal Palm Beach at the Madison Green Golf and Country Club in the ballroom. Tickets are available now for sale, $125. It is a fundraiser. You have a full sit-down dinner. You will have music, soft music. You will have, we have silent auctions where you can bid on baskets and just a good time from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. here in Royal Palm Beach, Florida. So you can To get your tickets, you can go to our website, www.becauseIamworthit.org, or you may scan the QR code that you see here on the screen, and it will take you to eventbrite.com, and you can purchase your tickets there. We need you. We need you. Our girls need you. So listen, don't hesitate. Don't delay. You're assured to have a great time and to help somebody's daughter. Thanks so much.
Please, y'all, let's support. Is there any opportunity to participate virtually? Can you buy a ticket and have access to maybe virtual or whatever? I don't know how that will work.
No, we don't have that capability, but if you can't come and you would like to support, your
Please.
monies will go to sponsor someone who can't afford to go.
Please, let's please
Yes.
support that.
Yes.
My friend, I hope to see you this week. And Miss Glenn, it's just a pleasure always to be with you guys.
Yes.
Love you all.
Same here.
God bless. So we're gonna come back and talk music a little later on in the year.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds
very
good.
Take
Thank
care.
y'all. Thank
Thank
you.
Bless you all.
Blessings. Mhm.
Listen, Dialogue with Dozie. Next week we're back at it again. We're looking at things that are very relevant to our culture, our survival as a group of people, as a race of people. We're going to be looking at voting rights a lot next week. We're hoping to have with us Pastor Rhonda from Pastor Rhonda Thomas from Faith in Florida, who keeps the fight for the ballot accessibility being in the forefront, and to talk about some of the things that are affecting us contemporarily in Tallahassee on the state level. Next week, as we continue to look at things that are relevant for us during this Black History Month. Dialogue with Dozie, we love you and appreciate you. Please support Ms. Glenn's event. It almost is like Mika Zabrinsky's Know Your Value, where she pushes females and gets them in the forefront. And I've been monitoring what Ms. Glenn has been doing for the last several years. Let's all participate. The dialogue is certainly going to help to support some people to that. Dialogue with Dozie. We out. God bless. See you next Monday night.